Hey everybody, this is Jo. I am in Houston. It is the end of November and I'm going to give you a look at my backyard garden. And I'm going to start way back here around the corner because I haven't shown this spot very much. A lot of times it's because the air conditioner is on and so loud. But I thought I'd give you a little peek. We've got the wonderful wax myrtle that's just on the other side of the fence, and it had, I think the birds have been here, it had tons of berries on it. Oh, here we go. You see the berries, look at that. So I'm hoping that it's hosting lots of birds. And then the last remnants of a very scraggly purple hyacinth bean vine on there. And then this is one I have not had a lot of successes with the coral berry. This is a native Texas plant, but look, I actually do have berries on this little coral berry, and that is a native Texas plant that the birds will eat the berries off of. So that's fun. This is arrowwood viburnum, which I'm kind of cutting into a little bit of a hedge. It's gotten taller than I really thought it would get. And it's supposed to have berries for the birds, and I have yet to see a berry. And so that's kind of a bummer, but it's bloomed nicely in the spring. And then on my little obelisk back here is a native coral honeysuckle, which I was hoping would bloom longer throughout the year, but it sure looks healthy and beautiful. It's only been there about a year, and it's a butterfly host plant as well. More viburnum. Here's, speaking of butterfly hosts, this is inland sea oats. It's a grass. It looks like bamboo, but it's a grass, and it is a native plant. It grows. It's a grass that grows in the shade, and it is a butterfly host, and it has really pretty little seed heads. This one's just coming out, but you got to clip those off. They're really pretty, but goodness, it reseeds very heavily. So if you don't want it everywhere, clip the seed heads off and put them, in an arrangement in the house. A little Martha Gonzalez here, pretty little found rose, Texas rose. Here is 3 pots of, oh, there's Miss Doubtfire. Hello, baby. 3 pots of more of that coral berry. You can see they have not been happy. I think they got hit by spider mites, but there are a couple of little berries, and I've noticed that it is actually putting out some new flowers, which is kind of crazy, but it's like it's determined to have something for the winter. This is parsley hawthorn, which is a native Texas plant. It's got big old thorns on it, and it is supposed to be a beautiful, I have seen them in bloom, a beautiful white flowering tree in the spring. I have not gotten any flowers off, and you can see it's just the worst looking tree you've ever seen. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it doesn't have enough sun back here, but anyway, I'm hanging on. It's alive. We'll see what happens. And then I lost a huge chunk. You can see I lost a whole lot of growth on this Texas kidneywood. That is due to the hurricane this summer. So it's kind of gotten tied up and hanging over. It doesn't have the shape I want, but I didn't want to trim it. It's blooming, and the blooms are way up high. I don't know that you can see them, little white blooms that the bees really like. That's also a butterfly host. And then the hodgepodge of mess down here, this little fence, if you're wondering, keeps the generator, the hot air. It does a test every week for like 10 minutes, maybe 15, and it blows hot exhaust, and it just kills the plants. And so that's why this fence is we tried this year. Clearly it was not a success. Go back to the little wattle fences like that this upcoming year. Oh, helicopter. And then this is a false indigo, which again, it fell over in the hurricane, so my yard helper tied it up, and it looks like it's from a Dr. Seuss book now, but it has never bloomed. I bought it because it's a native Texas plant and is a butterfly host, not a flower in years. And so I don't know whether I'm gonna keep that. And then I've got my wonderful amaryllis, looks pretty good. And then this stuff, which is called fleece flower, which apparently everything under the sun is called fleece flower. But I've been able to find it. I'll maybe put it in the description, the name of it. I can look it up for you. But it's just been really happy back here and is a pretty little flower and has nice sort of purplish maroon leaves that the colder it gets, I think the more, in the fall it gets, they turn a little darker, which is nice. And I've got some native Texas milkweed, aquatic milkweed here, and I had some growing here, and I think somebody, hopefully not a monarch, hopefully it's a queen butterfly and not a monarch, came and chomped it down. I just noticed it was gone the other day. And then this crazy spider lily is a little bit out of control. It must be 6 feet wide by now. And here's my favorite rose. That is Mrs. B.R. Cant, and it has been blooming. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I went to France. I've been incredibly lucky this year to get to go to Europe twice, and but I was not on a garden tour this time. And so I have a lot of pictures. If you're interested, I can put pictures of Gothic churches, but I don't have much. There wasn't a lot blooming. It was pretty cold in France, and but I came home. I've already deadheaded a little bit. There was a ton of roses on here, and I can see there are a ton more buds. We've gotten some cooler weather. We've gotten a lot of rain. It rained an inch this week, and I fertilized it. And so I usually get a big flush of flowers in December on this rose, and it's happening this year. So I'm very, very pleased to report that. Thank goodness. It looked terrible after two summer droughts. Here is some Texas rock rose that is stayed nice and pretty for you all. And it was being crowded, and so I'm hoping that some sunshine on the back side will get this to fill out in a big round ball. That would be great. And I'm getting ready. See, I've pulled some things out. I'm getting ready to take all of this sweet potato vine back and replant some things here. And so one of the things I'm going to do is do some more Blackfoot daisy, which is a sweet little native I had on the other side of the yard, and it did really well. And so I'm hoping this is another little spot that it will be happy in. And then here I've got some porterweed. This is much smaller. And part of me is wondering, and maybe you guys could know, I know that blue porterweed is native to Texas. The other ones are sort of South American. And this one is much smaller and looks much bluer to me. So if anybody knows how to tell the difference, please tell me in the description, in the comments. And then here's another native plant. This is dwarf Barbados cherry. It seems very happy back here. And this is very shady back in here. And that seems super happy. And I've seen little cherries on it that the birds will love to eat. And then this rose, which is really filled out in the cool weather, this is Old Blush. And look how beautiful. And this is the toughest Texas rose you can get. You can't get tougher than this. This is an antique rose, and you can trim it with hedge trimmers, and you can't hurt it. So it is a really good rose. Hi, Pumpkin. Hi. The lovely shrimp plant is taking. It took its time back here in the shade to bloom like the front yard, but it has really ended up beautiful. And some crinums. And then here, this is a little wine cup. This is a native to lots of, I'm pulling this up. This is invasive. Pulling things up while I narrate. I can't stop myself. Y'all are probably the same way. This is just a little native wildflower, but it is perennial and it has stayed here. It grows in a big vine all down the walk in the spring, and then it kind of dies back and I clip it, and it has stayed in the gravel looking good for a couple of years now. And I really love a wine cup. And then here is the last little bit. They've almost gone over. Little fall asters, and that's a native little aster. So pretty. I've got some native fern down here going all the way around, really, and then some nice Walters viburnum back there. And then, as you can see, something, I think while I was gone, so I must have a leak in my fountain, because now this flower pot, my goodness, right? That's my birthday flower pot. So I got that in August and planted that begonia in maybe September. And isn't it just spectacular? So gorgeous. You are such a pretty girl. Are you so pretty? And then this is an example. This begonia I've had for several years, but in the summer it really struggles. But maybe a month ago, a couple weeks ago, I started fertilizing it every Friday, and now look how pretty it looks. And this one the same, although it stayed pretty nice. I know. Hi, Timmy. Tell me about it. So fertilizing every Friday has really made a difference, and it has made things sort of pop up and flower. And also I've fertilized a lot of things just for growth, just for greenery. I did a specific kind of fertilizer to encourage foliage growth, kind of bounce things back from the summer. Now here is a bunch more shrimp plant, but in a different variety. And then back in the back, I might go back there. I haven't been back there in a long time. All right, Mrs. Scoot Scoot. Here is the empty spot left by all the workmen dealing with the hurricane problems this summer. I've got back here some Turk's cap, which is native. And it has little fruits on it. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And then a really nice, it was a really nice crepe myrtle, wax myrtle back here that really got torn up in the storm. And lots of things got trampled and lost out here. And so this is basically just whatever survived being stepped upon. Now here's a little test case we can watch. This thing was really, looking horrible. And I started 4 or 5 weeks ago, fertilizing this with the fertilizer for foliage growth. And look at all the new, this is, so much new growth. And so I'm going to keep fertilizing that, and we'll see if that fills it back in. Because I was pretty long in the tooth before I realized, fertilizing actually makes things prettier. That's a lot. I used to think, I'm an organic gardener, I don't fertilize anything. There are plenty of organic fertilizers that you can use to really help your garden. This beautiful stuff. This is pipe vine. This is a white-veined pipe vine that pipe vine swallowtail butterfly caterpillars eat. And I bought a couple of them right before I left. But this is one of the ones I've had. And one of the things I did, because I haven't had any caterpillars, is I cut it back. Not severely, but I trimmed it fairly hard. And it really made it even prettier. And I've been collecting seeds. This is more aquatic milkweed, and look at the wonderful pod. And I put them right in little bags. And this bag got all wet from the rain this week, but you can see it's full of seeds. And here's another really great example of how wonderfully things can come back from being pretty ratty from a rough summer to fill right in after fertilizer. That one and that one as well. And then look at this bumper crop. This is chili piquin, native Texas. It can take a lot of shade, actually. It's also called bird pepper, and they're spicy hot. And I'm so excited. I've never seen that many on there. And then here's my big news. It's a lot of stuff going on out here, but my big news is this. I put this in, had this put in. I did not do it myself. 2 days ago. This is another native wax myrtle. And we really lost so much of the canopy, right? Because they trimmed everything when the pole fell. And so, we cut so much of this oak tree off. And so I wanted something, this is just a trashy wax leaf ligustrum that was, out of control when we moved here and looks horrible. And then was cut very severely by the linemen. This wax myrtle will never get tall enough to touch that, but it will give it will block my leaf pile back here. My ginger back here wasn't very happy. I was trying to use that as the block, and it didn't really, it always died to the ground. So you had 6 months of the year when it looked terrible anyway. But this will give a little privacy here between the neighbors, a little greenery, and not be in the way of the line, so it won't become a future problem. Fire spike, always nice. A nice addition in the fall. Here I've got a Texas redbud that the top was snapped off in the wind. I think this is one of the things I'm learning about. We staked it because it was very small and wobbly, but it was tied, the middle piece was tied right here. And so when the wind from the hurricane hit, it snapped the top off. And that it probably is secure enough to not need this. And if it had been allowed to have its natural movement as a tree, it would not have broken off. So when you put a tree in, you really only need to stake it for about 6 months. And after that, your tree should be fine. And you don't want something tight around it. This is not tight right now. You don't want something tight around it that if the tree goes too big, you have killed your tree, because the strap, whatever's holding it, is too tight, and the tree grows bigger and it cuts off the flow of nutrients and water up and down the bark. So learn from my mistakes, that when they're ready, and see, it's still attached, that when they're ready, don't let things be attached too much. This did not have enough give for the wind. So learn from my mistakes, my friends. Now here is the wonderful Salvia amistad. And I don't know if you remember, I cut the middle out. It kind of collapsed in the storm, and I left the sides because they look good. So now here's the side. Here's this big part I left. It looks awful, but I'll cut that out maybe today, and you can see there's pretty purple left. And as always, me and my big old pentas look so great. And then this back here is the Salvia madrensis. Look at this yellow. You guys, isn't that amazing? And it takes shade. So if you see this, I haven't seen it very much, but when I saw it, I snapped it up. So it's worth a look if you're looking for sort of a buttery yellow salvia that can take shade. Here's another shade-loving salvia, which is this pretty blue. That's Salvia uliginosa, bog sage. And that's tough. I did see some of this actually in France, which surprised me. I don't know where it's native, but I was excited to see it because I bought this 100 million years ago, and I don't think I've ever seen it in the trade since. It's a great plant. And then some have paid off. Some of my tossing of Cleome seeds year-round has paid off. It looks pretty ratty, but here I am with the fresh Cleome flower in the end of November. So that's kind of fun. And a couple more here. Hello. Hello. You're very helpful. Oh, here. This is Rockwall sesquicentennial. Sweet little rose. These bushes have not looked good over the years, so I love the rose, but it has not been a beautiful bush, and so I'm not sure if it has my stamp of approval. I really like this rose, and I want it to be more successful. It may be getting too much shade here, so it might not be the rose's fault. It might be user error, but oh gosh, I mean, it just is such a sweet peachy pink. And then here is some Mexican bush sage in all its velvety glory. So I'm liking this jungly. I've got this purple salvia here. I've got the yellow in the back. I've got the grasses with all their beautiful inflorescences, and then the grass itself. And I'm just loving this. And then I've got the purple sweet potato vine just sort of rambling through. It's rambling more than I probably want it to, but right now I don't think it's really taken over anything exactly. And so I love that. I'm just really liking this. And the fall, you know, it's a big mess. It's a jumble, but it still makes me super happy. And I still have flowers and butterflies and bees all over the place. Here's more of the hyacinth bean vine, which is still blooming here and there. Mostly it's just beans at this point. And I've got a few more roses coming up with flowers. And then back in here, all these little flowers back here, all of this speckle, that is also an aster. It's just a weed. I left it. But I've also got some, I trimmed back very hard before I left, the Mystic Spire salvia. So you can see some new for flushing out in here. And then I've got one big tall Verbena bonariensis that's got all this new growth on it. So that's awesome. Makes me happy. And then, boy, fertilizing these roses. Look at the new growth all over with little buds all over it. I started fertilizing this, a month ago. This is, let's see if I can get you a fresh one. This is Souvenir de Saint Anne. So pretty. And here's a very refreshed Mystic Spire salvia. And then this little short salvia, it looks like coral nymph, except it's kind of upside down and it's way too small. But I really like that one. And then some threadleaf coreopsis moonbeam, which is sweet. And I've already got pretty big bluebonnets coming up, and they'll winter over and be fine. I'm pretty excited. And then, holy moly, y'all. Look at this Mexican hat, right? This is just a wildflower that grows on the side of the road, but it is perennial. I looked it up. I didn't realize it. Look at all this new growth. Is crazy. All of this is new. And it's got little buds all over it. And So, oh, it's like my new favorite thing. Oh, and before I pass by, I've got my little succulent theater, which is full of bluebonnet seedlings, but also look who came, has entered the chat. Look at that. That is the second spike I've gotten this year off of this incredible aloe vera plant. And oh my gosh, I came home to that. Stunning. And it's, including the pot, that's 4 feet tall. Fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. And then you may remember a couple of weeks ago, I had a video where this rose bush was very pitiful. It just didn't have very many leaves on it. It was still spitting out a few flowers, but I'm going to show you this. I've fertilized it with a fertilizer that really spurs on new foliage growth, right? But I'm also show you I got flowers, and I have already deadheaded this. So this is probably, while I was gone for 10 days, it probably had this many roses on it that came and went while I was gone. But it has, can you see this growth on here? And all this new in the middle here too. I'm just, it's stunning. It really makes a humongous difference to have that little kickstart. And especially after the drought we had this fall, it just makes a massive difference. And my little Blackfoot daisy over here is not very happy, and I keep trimming and keep trimming. I don't know, it's not happy. I've collected so much seed, y'all. So much seed. And then these, incredible, those are daylilies, and those plants are so happy. And then here's the black and blue salvia. And bleeding heart down here is looking really pretty. And my little tropical corner. And then the this is catmint nepeta. It is not blooming. I can see something's nibbling on it. I wonder what it is. I'm always interested. If something isn't eating your plants, you're not part of the ecosystem. I love that saying. And so I'm not mad something's eating my plants. I'm fascinated and want to know what it is. And then this is the little native Texas salvia that I have forgotten the name of. And I bought because it was so beautiful. Look at that electric blue. I'm going to move this because it's not in a good spot, because it wandered and got really big, right? But so beautiful. I've got lots of milkweed I put in. I stuck it in the ground a while back, and it's been fine. I didn't even dig holes big enough for what the root balls I had. It's just sort of knocked some of the dirt off, stuck it in the ground. And this is just pure clay in here, really heavy soil, and it has been perfectly happy. It's just tough as nails. And then I've got lots of fennel coming up. I've got a couple of big ones. Lots of fennel coming up. There are lots of sort of wild geraniums that I let a couple grow. I'll probably pull out a lot of that. And then I have a volunteer parsley. It likes cold weather, so okay. Volunteer parsley. This is all volunteer gomphrena. All of this. And this is why, I let things go and do what they want. If you can see all the pink gomphrena. And then again, this was something that planted itself. This is that Texas palafox, Palafoxia texensis. And I gathered a bunch of seed. I saved a bunch of seed to throw out at my Camp Allen garden. There is more. This is such a neat little combo. I love Verbena bonariensis. These are garlic chives. And then the gomphrena. I just love that. I love that little vignette. And you can see how big this is a Duranta. And it is native to Texas, and it is kind of, going over a little bit, but look at these beautiful berries. And this is a source for birds here in Texas. And so I'm happy to see these. When I bought this plant, I didn't remember that it had berries. And so that's fun. That is fun. And then I was going to show you one more thing. You know, I told you I keep throwing out seeds as I go, these Cleome seeds. Look at all this that came up. And so even if I just get 1 or 2 of these to make it through the winter, I can put a little handful of dry leaves on it, put a bucket over it. And so this will be so many months ahead, so that in the spring, this will have a huge head start. And so I'm excited that those are coming up. Now, I've still got the holding area, and you can see how many little fennel plants have come up. And I'm gonna put those in the ground. That's all food for next year's swallowtail butterflies. And then I've got lots of baby milkweed coming up as well. And then before I left, another thing I did was the grocery store a couple months ago had a massive sale on native Texas plants at our local grocery store here in Texas. And I bought some. I potted them up in a bigger pot. And before I left, and they all were falling over and very gangly. Before I left, I chopped things back because I could see there was new growth coming up from the ground. And so I'm waiting for this to really come up, and then I'll put it in the ground. And some of this is for Camp Allen as well. And then my sweet friend Nancy sent me, she crossed paths with my spouse and left a bunch of stuff in his car. This is a different kind of milkweed, a couple of different kinds that she has grown. And she also gifted me this beautiful peach colored Turk's cap. And so that's fun. Lots of things. Those are for Camp Allen. So I'm very excited about that. And then, let's show you my husband's bonsai collection. But this is the last thing I'm going to show you. The sun is going down on me. But after two massive bumper crops of Gulf fritillary butterfly caterpillars, earlier in the year, this vine just didn't bounce back, but it's finally bounced back. And looky-loo, where is he? There he is. Look, that is a Gulf fritillary caterpillar. And so that's going to be an amazing orange butterfly. And there's several, and this is one of the things, I noticed the holes in the leaves, and that's what made me go on a little bit of a hunt, and I found several caterpillars on here. So I'm super excited to be supporting the caterpillars once again. Well, thank you guys for coming along on this little walk with me. And I did put up a couple of little shorts of one tiny little church garden in Normandy, so you could see kind of what was hanging on still in November. And Francis, cold. I was very cold the whole time. But I'll put up a couple of pictures of churches as well, just for anybody who's interested. I'll put those in the community tab. Well, thanks for looking. I hope you guys had a great November, and I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and take care very much. Take care. I'll show you Miss Doubtfire at the end. Here she is. Bye-bye.